Welcome. I'm Megan Cornell, part of the Advocacy Committee on the Ottawa Board of Trade. And we are joined today by Catherine McKenney, candidate for Mayor of Ottawa, who's made some time today with us to answer some questions about the business community and their priorities for growing Ottawa, particularly as we come out of the last couple years. So, in this municipal election, we're seeking leaders who are committed to economic growth and who will create an environment that leverages the ingenuity and success of business to drive community prosperity. We canvassed our members early in the election campaign and asked the business community, what are your priorities for growth in the business community? And we came up with 5 priorities, which we've called our Build Up Ottawa set of priorities. And we've been working hard to promote those over the last few months. So our list of questions today with Catherine are going to canvass some of those top priorities, and we're going to ask for some input on how the candidate will help us as a business community and as a community at large address those priorities. So Catherine, thanks so much for joining us today. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Well, thank you, Megan, and it's great to be here with you today. My name is Catherine McKenney. I am running for mayor to make Ottawa a world-class city because Ottawa does have so much potential, and together we can create vibrant neighborhoods with the services that make your life easier, more affordable, and really increase our economic viability. You know, as your mayor, I commit to investing in affordable housing, to running transit across our city, in our neighborhoods, so that people can count on transit. And, we need to ensure that we make our roads and sidewalks safer for everyone, grow our tree canopy, and build fun public spaces in all of our neighborhoods. So now I have the experience and the leadership that our city needs. I've been senior staff at the city, operations, and now councillor for 2 terms. I sit on 5 BIAs as the Somerset Ward councillor. I also work with the Elgin Street Business Association, as well as sitting on the Spark Street Mall Authority. So I've been very fortunate to have that context within the work that I've done at City Hall.
Great. Well, thanks again for taking the time. For everybody that's hunkering down to listen to our dialogue today, we've got 12 questions we're going to go through. So we've got a lot of heavy lifting to go through, but some really great topics for conversation here. And we've got about 2 minutes-ish per question so that we don't drag this on too long. So without any further ado, I'll launch into it. Ottawa is the capital of a G7 country and needs investments to ensure long-term and sustainable growth. So how would you ensure Ottawa can attract the investment and talent we need to make sure that we are a world-class city?
Well, Megan, my plan is to invest in Ottawa to make it a world-class city. It's a city that's healthier, that's greener, that's better connected. And every world-class city needs a top-notch public transit system. We need to invest to ensure that Ottawa's transit system is reliable, it's affordable, it gets you where you need to go on time. That's how we attract and retain the talent that we need in our city. We also need to protect and increase our green spaces and take serious climate action. We also need to address our housing affordability and our homelessness crisis and emergency in this city to ensure that everyone has a place to call home and that there's housing that fits everyone's needs across the city. So my plan really will improve the quality of life in Ottawa and make it much more livable and affordable. And I believe that those will be selling points to attract investors and talent to our city.
All right, that's great. We've got a whole lot there to unpack, and we're going to unpack it a little bit more with some more really get into the nuts and bolts of some of those issues. So let's start with the LRT. Innovative infrastructure such as the light rail transit phase 3 supports our collective climate, economic, and inclusivity agenda of the Board of Trade and makes our city more attractive to investors and talent, as you've mentioned. So, what would you do to ensure that the LRT is on track to be completed on budget and on time?
Well, you're correct. Ottawa needs transit that is both affordable and on time when it's running. And it is key again to attracting investors and talent to our city, as well as meeting key climate targets that we have set. As you know, I called for an inquiry into phase 1 of the LRT. I called for it twice, and the province did eventually, call their own, and we did that so that we could understand what happened with phase 1, what happened in that procurement process, what happened through the contract and through the maintenance contract, that we did not have a functioning light rail system. We paid over $2 billion and we did not have a functioning light rail system. And I did that not just to look backwards, but to look forward. And we need to apply those lessons. Phase 2, phase 3, as we move forward. People in the city have to have faith that we're spending their money well, that we are investing in light rail and a light rail system that will move them across the city, and also that is transparent to residents, that that the residents understand what happened. Ottawa deserves good public transit, and as you say, it's a big part of our climate goal. And the more convenient it is to residents, the more people will consider taking the bus or taking LRT. So it is absolutely key that we understand what happened. We will get those the results of the inquiry, the recommendations from the inquiry, and we will consider that as we move forward on future phases.
Okay, so let's move from buses to another kind of transportation, and an issue that I think has sort of fallen a little bit off of a lot of people's radar in Ottawa over the last couple of years, understandably. And we really face a challenge in our economic recovery because of the low levels of direct flights to the Ottawa International Airport compared to other national airports. These decisions are made by airlines, not airports or communities, and they're based on demand and profitability. Our current air capacity is really negatively impacting our ability to attract investment and talent, as well as our visitor economy, which is a feeder to every other economic development sector in the city. So, how do you intend to support the recovery of air routes to and from Ottawa and the vibrancy of our airport as connective infrastructure?
Mm-hmm. Well, we do have to start by building a world-class city. When we do that, with the investment and the infrastructure that we need and that we deserve, we will start to see, growth in our economic activity. And when we have a world-class city, it is just easier to engage with airlines to bring the routes that we need to Ottawa. I supported the community improvement plan for the area around the airport to attract development around the airport, to attract businesses in that area. I think it's key to building the activity around the airport, but also the need for that investment to come from outside of Ottawa, within Ottawa. Transportation is key. It's key to tourism. It's key to business. It's key to our economic well-being, and our airport is essential to that. So I am committed to continuing to build that and to investing in the area in and around our airport as well.
Great. Okay, another key infrastructure piece for us is, of course, as citizens, is healthcare. And Ottawa, like most places in Canada, is experiencing tremendous strain on our primary healthcare system and needs to plan for our aging and growing community as well. The new campus development at the Ottawa Hospital is a state of the art healthcare facility that will ensure we're all well served and well positioned also to attract talent, businesses, and residents that seek that kind of amenity. Do you plan to support this project? And if you do, how would you work to ensure its success?
Well, certainly, again, talent is, will be attracted to the city if we have, world-class transit, affordable housing that meets everyone's needs. And there are a lot of smart physician-led initiatives already underway in the city to address the issue of, people without doctors. And when I speak to healthcare providers, which I've done over the 8 years, they tell me that we have to address and deal with the root causes of people leaving the profession. And, we need to make sure that their workplaces are healthy, they're balanced. Primary care is at risk also because we're seeing fewer and fewer people choosing what is a very challenging profession, especially over during COVID, more so. So, I've sat at the council table for 8 years, and I know that to address healthcare crisis in our city, we need to make our city just a much healthier place to live. Not We have to invest in the services that we need in this city, everything from transit, housing, recreation services, libraries. The things that make a city a good place for people to live, including physicians. We just won't attract and retain that type of talent that our city needs in any sector if we have a transit system that doesn't function. If we have an housing affordability crisis, lack of services in French, we have to invest. We have to invest in good cycling infrastructure to keep people safe today. That's the type of city that attracts talent, and that's the type of city that will attract physicians as well.
Okay, just to be so we have the question clear on the Ottawa Hospital project itself. Are you in support of that project or not?
So the new campus, absolutely. I was not. I was not supportive of the parking, the parkade. Worked against the site plan for the parkade. Not the hospital itself. I'm very supportive of the
Okay.
hospital itself, of course, but and the location of the hospital. It
Okay.
was the parkade, the above ground parkade, and the removal of some 700 trees that
Right.
that I had issue with. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's pivot once again to another issue that's really important to Ottawans and to attracting new residents to our city. Access to reasonable market priced housing is a key driver for growth, investment, and talent attraction. What's your plan to increase inventory and generate a positive impact on the price of homes?
Yeah. So my plan for Ottawa is to build vibrant, mixed income, mixed use neighborhoods that offer affordable housing across Ottawa. We have to take advantage of the federal housing accelerator fund to grow our housing supply. And of that $4 billion fund, I've set a target for Ottawa for $108 million for our fair share, and use that money to build that housing stock, to tighten up our processes and do what we can to ensure that we have the supply we need. But we also need to incentivize building missing middle housing. Transit-oriented development is key. We have to invest in our transit corridors, our priority transit corridors, like Baseline, Carling. You build BRT, and then you build the housing around it so that people have options for how they want to move around the city. And of course, we have to make housing more accessible and affordable for multi-generational households. We need to build with families in mind. If we're building, tall buildings, they have to be what I like to call vertical subdivisions. So they have, space for bikes, space for strollers, later on, space for skateboard parks, whatever is required in that neighborhood, which just happens to be vertical. I do have a very deep understanding, of course, direct experience in housing, and I know that with a solid plan, we can secure our fair share of available resources from the federal government.
Okay, great. All right. Cost of living for families, another one of these hot button issues right now. And as those pressures continue to rise, contributing to a growing number of families who require social support and access urgently, really, to affordable housing, how do you propose to address that particular issue?
Mm-hmm. So I've worked on this most of my adult life, and we know, especially today, that many households are just one paycheck away from a crisis. So we have to ensure that people can stay in their homes. It's necessary to building a healthy city. It saves the city money in the long run. So with the plan that I have, the city would provide short-term rental allowances to prevent people from losing their existing housing. We have to also retain our existing affordable market rental and stop the loss of affordable units. If we can stop the loss of affordable housing, again, it stops households from falling into homelessness. Every day we house people in the city, or whether it's families or individuals, but more people fall into homelessness. I would invest $5 million in the Ottawa Community Land Trust to work with nonprofit, cooperative community to preserve and maintain existing, rental, affordable housing. It would then, be available in perpetuity. We know that for every one community housing unit that we build in the city, we lose at least 7 on the private market. We have to stop that. We have to provide the incentive and the funding to be able to purchase these buildings and keep them as part of our affordable housing stock. I would create 1,000 new nonprofit community housing units that, again, are mixed income in good, neighborhoods that are mixed use, so that people, know it's more affordable. They can move around their community in a more affordable way. And of course, I brought the motion 5 years ago that identified city land that is near all of our rapid transit. To provide to nonprofits to be able to build affordable housing. I would move that forward almost immediately as mayor, so that we can start to build new cooperative housing, new affordable housing, and also, again, mixed use. It's not about one size fits all or one type fits all, but we do need that mixed use housing.
Okay. All right, taxes. Oh, and interests not just to businesses, of course, but to all residents of our city. And so here's our tax-related question. Will you commit to moderate and preset tax increases to help businesses and investors addressing their rising costs, and also inspire business confidence, innovation, and predictability?
Well, that's an easy one. The answer to that is yes. My plan for, a healthier, greener, better connected city will be funded within the, current 3% approach to property taxes. I'm committed to that for the entire 4 years of the term, so that there is stability in the market for our businesses, for all residents, all taxpayers. Just recognizing that affordability is key, is not just people in our community, taxpayers, but businesses, are struggling coming out of the pandemic. So absolutely, that's an easy one. I would.
Okay. Now let's go to small businesses who really are the heart of our community, our culture, and our economy. And they were really disproportionately impacted through the pandemic. How would you help to build confidence, resiliency, and support for these businesses, particularly those in the hardest hit sectors? And also as part of our Ottawa Board of Trade mandate, we're looking for support specifically for some of those under-supported businesses, diverse businesses owned by women, Indigenous business owners, racialized entrepreneurs, people with disabilities, and those who are part of our LGBTQ 2S community.
Well, I've been fortunate as the councillor for Somerset Ward. I sit on 5 business improvement areas, 5 BIAs. That doesn't include Elgin Street, which has a business association, and also the Mall Authority for Spark Street. So I've seen firsthand the effect of the pandemic and on our small local businesses. I would establish a dedicated liaison service for small businesses who are navigating city resources and requirements. It's one of the things that as a counselor, I was often called on to assist the BIAs with. I think that having that dedicated liaison for all businesses is it would enable them to navigate the system of the city. It would encourage, it would support business development and their viability if they just have one place to go to. To help small businesses thrive, I would definitely continue the small business property tax subclass, which is that new property tax that is currently available to 10,000 small businesses across Ottawa.
Okay, thanks for that. Let's continue a little bit with one of the hardest hit parts of our city in terms of the business community. And of course, decreased travel and the slowest return to the office of workers in the country has caused local business closures and really a loss of services in the downtown core, negative impacting the visitor and resident experience. The downtown really is the heart of our community and a key attractor for the visitor economy, which really does impact our entire city. So how will you support the increased vibrancy of our downtown core?
Well, again, I'm the counselor for the downtown core today. I sit on the Downtown Revitalization Task Force that was started by our Member of Parliament that includes the development industry, includes our BIAs, includes Board of Trade, includes our nonprofit. We have all of those stakeholders at the table. It key really to the downtown commercial sector revitalization, if you will, is mixed use. Mixed income housing. We need people to live there. We're never going to go back to the days of full public servants coming downtown. So we need to rethink that part of the city, that commercial sector, and make it livable, get people living there. We can do some conversions. They're not inexpensive, but the city will have to do its part along with the federal and provincial governments to incentivize that. Doesn't mean we would turn entire towers into housing, but we certainly can turn 4 or 5 floors into housing. Then you would have some commercial, you would have retail on the bottom, open some of those storefronts up to artists, just allow the place to grow organically, but it has to be, again, mixed income, mixed use, and built for people who live there, not just travel back and forth. But then with that, you start to, get tourists back. You need life in your downtown to attract people to live there, to visit there, and to work there.
Okay, let's slip down. I'm picturing us having this chat while we're walking through downtown Ottawa. So let's keep going and go down into the Byward Market. And, the Ottawa crime rate has increased significantly, and visitors have reported perceptions of a lack of safety and cleanliness in the Byward Market neighborhood. This negatively impacts Ottawa's brand reputation worldwide, and it influences decisions of event and meeting planners and investors and visitors. So what are your plans to address the issues of homelessness, mental health, addiction, safety, security, and I'm probably oversimplifying it, in the Byward Market, and how would this be a priority for you?
Well, it is an absolute priority for me. I'm committed to ending chronic homelessness in 4 years. I know how to do it. I know exactly what the requirements are, what the plan would be to house what is about 500 to 600 people who are chronically homeless in our city. And we do that by building supportive housing and or housing people, scattered across the city, but with supports wrapped around them. We've got models that work already today, and we just have to make it a priority to ensure that people are well housed. On mental health, addictions, we need to encourage more safe supply. Once you first is housing people. Once you house someone, if you can give them a safe supply of drugs, so they're not taking toxic drugs, they're not overdosing, people get better. They get employment, and their lives come back, to some form of normalcy. Decriminalization of drugs is also key, so that people can get the help that they need. And safety and security, we're building, a community safety and well-being plan, but we've got to look at crime prevention, and what does that mean in our city, and what does that mean for everyone in our city, to be able to invest in upstream services, that prevent, some youth from falling into, a life of crime. We've got to invest in things like recreation services for youth, so that they have other options, so that they have healthier options. So there's a lot to do, but we can get it done if it's a priority, and it would be number one priority for me.
Okay. Now, the Board of Trade believes the city requires a whole community approach to building an affordable, inclusive, and sustainable future. And we really want we've put out a call to Ottawa City Hall, having a progressive and collaborative approach going forward. So how will you lead to build a progressive culture at City Hall, engage economic partners, of whom, of course, we are one, and we participate actively in the conversation with City Hall, and with other levels of government, to ensure that Ottawa can compete in the global market?
Well, absolutely. I mean, first we have to know that we can build a world-class city, but we can only do that if we invest in world-class transit, if we invest in world-class housing, if we invest in climate action that resolves our climate crisis, that meets the plan that we already have in place. If we build the infrastructure we need for people to move around, safe cycling, better transit. We know what kind of cities that people want to visit. We know what kind of cities we want to visit, and we've got to make Ottawa a world-class city. And to do that, you have to have trust. City Hall has to be transparent, and you have to build trust. I've had 3 meetings today with resident groups, and that came up every single time, that they don't feel that the city is open and transparent enough. When we think about economic development, again, transit is key, but I would work to, commit to working across all sectors to ensure that our path forward is progressive, it's sustainable, it builds economic strength. But we can only do that when that as we build equity in our city, and as we build a more equitable city that where everybody feels that they're a part of it. Again, I've sat on 5 BIAs. Just that the needs of the business community are not so unique to the needs of residents, and I repeat that to people often. It's not an us versus them. We are in this together. When we think about economic development, when we think about our small businesses, we need the same things in our community to build a type of community that will attract, that will retain talent, and just make us really proud of where we live.
Okay. We're going to go with our last question, which is sort of the big picture, thinking down the road kind of question. And really, city building requires future thinking and long-term investments. But governments, of course, are challenged by short election cycles, external significant global pressures, like, of course, we've just all been through, as well as strong public opinions and wavering trust. So how will you focus on and garner support for priorities that are vital to our future, but may not be realized in the next 4 years?
Well, that's an excellent question. If you have a clear plan, priorities, and bring people together, you can build towards long-term priorities. It's really important to know that you can't just do the job as mayor just to be mayor. You have to do the job to make change, and to make that progressive change, and to work across all sectors, across the city, to move the city forward in a way that it will be healthier, it will be greener, it will be better connected. And partnerships, between different levels of government. As mayor, you have to ensure that the city is well represented at different tables, FCM, big city mayors, and you have to know what your plan is, so that you can ask for what's needed. Other levels of government make investments in cities, but you have to know what it is, and you have to be clear about your ask. I would always work with everyone around the council table. I have good working relationships with all of my colleagues. Certainly, we're going to have a new council. Half will be new, so it's an opportunity also to build that enthusiasm, that excitement. They're coming in with new ideas. There's a learning curve, but those new ideas really is what we need to harness, and we need to understand the needs across the city and start building forward. We can't think about this as a 4-year cycle, or we don't make the bold change, and we don't make those bold decisions that a world-class city needs.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. That was a rapid fire 12 questions. I know that the Board of Trade is really excited to get working with new council. I'm sure pretty much everyone's excited for October 24th to get here and move on. I'd love to have you give any parting thoughts that you want to the Board of Trade members, or really anyone in Ottawa who will happen upon this conversation.
Well, listen, thank you so much for the opportunity to do the video and to talk to you. It was disappointing that I was not able to make the all candidates debate. It was having to testify at the inquiry into the occupation was not great timing for me, of course, and we had a couple of changes of date around that, but I do really appreciate the opportunity to speak directly with you, to think about and consider, the needs of our business community. we're all better off if we're all better off, right? So we need good housing. We need people to be housed. We need housing that's affordable for families. We need affordability for families. We need, great transit. We need, great cycling infrastructure. But we also need strong main streets. They're the spine of our city. We need strong local businesses, and the needs of businesses and residents are not very different. They really, they almost boil down to the same thing. So, if the city is thriving, our businesses will thrive, and if our businesses thrive, our city will thrive, and residents will thrive. So, I look very much forward to working with you in the future and moving forward this city and making it a world-class city for all of us.
Great. Thanks so much for joining us today, Catherine.
Thanks, Megan. It's really nice to see you.